So let's put together everything that we have learned so far into solving our first problem. So we want to transition away, we want to move away from using Replit. Occasionally we will use Replit, but for now we want to move away. And I want to show you the software that we'll be using in class, okay, inside the classroom. And let me open that. It's called Visual Studio Code. Okay. You will be given a link as to how you can install this on your computer. However, it's already installed in the computers in the computer lab, which you will be using in class. So what I want to do, I'm going to simply say I'm going to create a new folder. So I'm going to open folder. Can I create a new folder? Okay, I guess I'll need to create a folder first. So let me do that. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to create a new folder. Let's maybe call this hello. All right. So let's open that. Okay, so what I want to do now, inside this folder, I will click here where it says new file, and I'll create a new file. Let's call it main.cpp. Okay, all C++ programs must end with the .cpp extension. And then I will proceed to create the framework for my program. So the first thing I need to do, and by the way, we need to get in the habit of writing comments. So I will simply say my first program. Okay. So what should this program do? Well, let's look at what it should do. Okay, so we have a problem. Okay, so it says I would like the user to be able to enter their year of birth. All right, and after which I will tell them their age. So for example, if the user would enter 2020, since right now it's 2024, then we would say that the user is 4 years old. Okay, so that's one problem we want to solve. So how do we solve it? Well, whenever you want to solve a problem, you need to come up with an algorithm. Okay, so an algorithm is just a fancy way of saying the recipe, the steps that you would need to solve such a problem. For example, when you're baking a cake, there are certain steps you need to take. In programming, we also need to take steps to solve problems. So for this particular problem, which is very trivial, so it's great that we're using this simple problem to get you used to the idea of solving problems and algorithms. So the first thing I want to do is to create the variables that I would need to store what the user has typed in for their year of birth, right? We know that makes perfect sense. And then of course we would obviously ask the user for the year of birth, right? Using one of the methods I showed you earlier with cin, right? Now once we get the user's year of birth stored in our variable, in our box, then we can do a simple subtraction, right? 2024 minus whatever the year of birth is, and that would give us our answer for age. And then of course we would simply display that result. So a pretty trivial program. We ask for the year of birth, we calculate the age, and then we print the age. So let's go about doing that. Let's go ahead and do that. So of course the first thing I need to do is to use the Pong include. Okay, IO stream. So what I'm doing here is to tell the program, or to specify that my program will use some extra code that has been written by other people. So whenever we write programs, we never write everything by ourselves. We never write everything from scratch. We borrow code from other people. Okay? And so line 2 is telling C++ that it should make available to my program all the code that is found in this location. Okay? So what do you find inside here? Well, you find things like cout, you find things like cin. All right, good. Now the next thing I want to do is to specify where I should find cin and cout. So I'm going to say using namespace std. Okay, so C++ will look inside this location specifically for this subfolder. Okay, because inside this subfolder is where the cout and cin and the others are listed. So we tend to always put these two lines. With experience, you'll understand more about the details of them. But for now, you don't need to know anything else apart from you need them. Now, whenever you create a program, you must always have what is called a main, okay? Where the program begins from. So every program must begin from somewhere, and every C++ program begins from what we call the main function, okay? So this is the main function, okay? And you will learn what functions are as we progress through the course. So let's just do the steps. So I need a variable for the year of birth. The year of birth is always a whole number, so I can use an integer, okay? And I will create a variable called the year of birth, okay? So whenever you create variables, we try to give them meaningful names so that they help us to remember what the program is trying to accomplish. Now, we're going to set this to nothing, all right? And then, of course, we're going to create the prompt as we learned previously. So please enter year of birth. Okay, and again we leave it as that. We don't use ENDL. And so now when the user presses enter, we know that we will store that result in our variable year of birth. Okay, simple enough. Now what we need to do is to calculate the age. So I'll put a comment, calculate the age using 2024. Okay, so I'll say 2024 minus what is inside the year of birth box. Now this will give me a number, and of course I need to store that in some other variable. So I'm going to create a new variable, and I'm probably going to call it age. Okay, all right. And remember, like I keep stressing, a value, an answer has to be found here, and after we have that answer, only then will it be stored in the variable in the box on the left hand side. Okay, great. So that's how you calculate the age. And finally, we can display that age by simply saying cout you are space age space years old, full stop. And of course, we could always add a new line, like that. Okay. Now, I won't use ENDL. Well, yeah, let me show you right now. I won't use ENDL. So I will transition away from using ENDL, and I will use something shorter, okay? Something easier to type, which does the same thing. And so all I will do is remove this, put my semicolon, and when I want to say that I want to go to a new line, I will just come and I will put a backslash and I'll put an N. Okay? So that backslash N means a new line. All right? Now, why am I showing you this? Well, because it's more convenient. For example, if I want 2 lines, I can just do that. Or if I want 5 lines, I can do that, do that, do that. I wouldn't be able to do that so easily using ENDL. If I wanted 5 lines, I would have had to say ENDL, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, and finally ENDL. Okay, that would have been a pain. So whenever we have a lot of lines, or whenever we are trying to get a new line, we tend to use the shortcut, which is just backslash N. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you ever want a new line, you can use either ENDL, or you could also use backslash N. All right, I could put this backslash N anywhere. I could even put it here. Okay, and what it will do is to give me a line here and then give me another one here. So it will give me 2 spaces. But anyway, I don't want 2 lines at for this. I only want 1 at the end. Okay, I hope that made sense. And by the way, the last thing we need to do is to put return 0. Again, when we learn about functions, we learn what return does. So that's our complete program. We save it and then we run it. So all we need to do to run this program is to simply click here. Okay, all right, run program. Okay, it might ask me to choose a tool. All right, so I'm going to choose it. All right. Initially, it might take some time. Let me close that. That's not for that. Okay. All right. So this one happens on the first startup. Okay. All right. Good. So please enter your birth. 2020. You are 4 years old. Okay. So if I try again, clicking play. All right. Good. All right. 2024. Let's try again. Okay. All right. Maybe 1975. And I get my answer. Okay, when I'm done, I close here and I'm back. So that is our first program using Visual Studio Code. Now, why are we going to use Visual Studio Code? Well, because it allows us to be able to save our work on our computers, right? What we were using before, everything is stored online. And so if we don't have internet access, then we don't have access to our code. So we want to be writing our code on our own computers. All right, I'll leave it here and I'll see you in the next lesson.